All right, there we go. Today is this kind of gear here. And I don't know if you can see what's going on. See if you can see the trend, but these three are just gorgeous pieces. The WR2 here with the aristocrat style handle. I just think it's about my prettiest razor that I have. The handle on this hammer and chisel, and it's got a declaration B5 knot, is just terrific. And so that's why it's here. The artwork that Dr. Jon puts on his stuff, and we'll get into more of that a little bit later. But I just really enjoy what he has and his style. And so that's why today I'm using 13 from Dr. Jon's. It's a vegan soap, pretty firm. I wish I could use it more than I do, but I guess I could say that with all my favorites, right? All right, so we'll wait for folks to join. Already got somebody in the mix. We'll be using my usual 3D lather bowl, and I've got 40 milliliters of water stored up in my jigger. We'll watch how that goes down. And let's get the blade out. Oh man, yeah, I meant to do an etching video today, but man, I ran out of time. I had some family stuff I had to go take care of at the last minute. So today's a cool landmark, 380. Today is shave number 380 with the Nasset. Running out of space on the top of my cabinet with all this gear. And so here's the original envelope that we started out with, and I put 300 dots on it. And then here is the Nasset blade. This is the side I'm always putting toward the top cap. And you can see it's kind of a much cleaner side. You can see the bend down here in this corner that it developed. I did, at the time, I did reduce the bend so that it didn't really bother me too much when I shaved. And then here's the side that goes toward the handle, and it has the dots on it right above the end of the word stainless. Peter, welcome. Oh, roger that. Watching only. Well, that's just fine. And so we've got the Nasset going, and let's go ahead and put it while my hands are clean in a razor. And even when you, today, day 3 of the Lather Games is it's called the Art of Shaving. That's the theme. Now, we're not talking about the Art of Shaving store that is out there, brick and mortar type store. We're not talking about that brand. We're talking about the art, things that look nice in our shaving hobby, things that we appreciate. And so that's the theme of today. That's why I picked the gear that I did. And this razor is just phenomenal, even when you've got it disassembled. Razors like Mercurs and Jaggers and things like that, they don't look nearly this good when you've got them disassembled. That's when you see the unfinished or less than quality finished pieces. Now, of course, you're paying a lot more for this, and so it should look good, right? And so I'm not saying they're bad, but you know, in this case, sometimes you get what you pay for. Now, they may still function very well. Nothing wrong with that. But this is just kind of a piece of art. I'm looking forward to passing it down to my son someday. And I'm going to put the blade in there. The 4 posts. If you ever wonder about the Wolfman razors, if you see posts like this sticking up in the corner, it's the WR2. The WR1 does not have those posts. And he's got a very slim head design because those posts are doing the blade alignment for you. This is about the lowest gap WR2 that I've seen around. I think it's a 54. Is that right? 85. The 54 range, that's for the WR1. It has a different number range. For the WR2, I played around with a 95 gap, and I found this as an 85 gap. And so I'm enjoying it. This is the heavier handle. I have another handle like this that's hollow. And I tell you what, I really like that one just a little bit better. It's lighter and it looks exactly the same, but it's just a little bit lighter. And boy, this is a heavy guy with this handle. But we've got the blade loaded up. We're ready to go. Get my face wet. Phew. Today was interesting with the lather games because the first 2 days I was able to put things together that didn't really depend on other days. But today with artwork, pick something that has beautiful artwork. There are some other soaps that could fill this category. And you have to be careful when you're strategizing. If you're playing like I am, if you're trying to use a different maker every day, if you're not going for that point, and who knows, maybe I won't do that next year. But if you're not going for that particular point, then you can just pick your favorite maker, for each category, and it's more freeing, and so there's definitely an advantage to that. But, and so that's why, for instance, because there's a Barrister and Mann day specifically, it's one of the Saturdays, I can't use this wonderful Full Measure of Man soap that I think is just so well done artistically. It's got multiple kind of dimensions of artwork. You can obviously see the skeleton, but when you look closer, there are muted roses coming out. It's just got a lot of visual interest there, subtlety, creativity. They're all parts of this design, and I appreciate that, and I'm glad that he put that together. And so the Dr. Jon's 13 is the soap we're going to be using today. And so here, in a similar way, he put this together. Now, I believe he did it for a certain group, a certain forum, like wet shaving or something. But you can see he kind of used a similar color palette here with the reds and the darks. And so to do that and do it designed well is take some skill instead of just slapping a bunch of colors on the cap. Okay, let us start. Let's load. It's been a little while since I've used this soap. Let's get my, I should have had my brush soaking in the water, B5 knot. Let's let that soak, and I'll take this opportunity to tell you about the other things that I was considering for this day, the art. Peter, you're the only one right here in the chat, but right now I'm seeing 4 or 5 people that have jumped in. And that's the way mine usually go. It takes a while because I don't announce them. I haven't figured out a good way to announce them easily. And now we're back to 3. So we got some people jumping in, some people leaving, that's the way it goes. Some other art that I appreciate is this style by Saponificio Varesino. They've done kind of some brushed metal work here, embossing, that sort of thing. And I think it's classy, and it just, I really appreciate that. On the other side of the spectrum, kind of in the cartoon spectrum, you've got Black Ship Grooming, and I appreciate what he's done here. The artwork's usually pretty nice. The colors, it's usually a good color theme. He's got the pirate style banner across the bottom to tie in the different scents and the different looks, so that you can always have a different picture in the middle. You'll still have the name and you'll still have the banner, and to keep that consistent theme going. And a lot of his are just, I just enjoy that. Kind of classy, but fun and interesting, that kind of thing. Hey, Mike. And then was there another one I wanted to mention? No, I don't think so. Valedictorian is a neat one that was put together for summer break. and it's got that blue looking owl with a green background, tons of color, rich color, and obvious skill with the drawing. So, hey, Mike, Peter said that he is in a Zoom meeting right now. So he's watching, and he's obviously able to read, but he's not listening to the video. And let me show you why I picked Dr. Jon's. Okay, I've already showed you the can lid for 13. Well, here are some others. And he, similar to Black Ship, he kind of goes with a, not really a cartoon, but just a few colors. I mean, look at that propaganda. He's got the round accent lines here around it. And then he is combining some real imagery with some graphics. And I think it's just well done. That's a good scent too. The a classy one here for the black label or black tie, and that's just kind of his style. Here's another one where he's picked a certain color palette, and then he uses that. That's the classic scent. And then here's one that is sometimes doesn't photograph very well, but Blood Oath. And of course, he's got a very limited color. He's chosen a limited color palette there, but around we've got lines, and it doesn't. To me, it doesn't. None of his really look too gimmicky. There's definitely some art to it, and so that's why I chose his work for today. Yeah. Oh, Mike. Man, I tell you what, there are some guys that are just doing amazing stuff with the lather games. And so I do not think that I will. If I had to guess, I mean, maybe like ninth place. But if I got 20th place, I think there are a lot of people playing. Even if I got 20th, I would not be surprised. Of course, I would be really surprised if I got less than top three. But hey, we can always hope, right? Yeah, the black and the gold label, tobacco scents, very nice. Okay, so that's the talk about kind of the artwork. And let us take the brush and load up. This is a pretty firm vegan soap. And so let's, hasn't been used in a while. It's done a little bit of shrinking around the sides, kind of curing on my shelf, if you will. 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Let's just do 40 seconds for grins and see what happens. Shake some of the water out. I might leave it a little bit more wet than I usually do since we've got kind of a long load. And let's see, 10 rolls around right there. So we'll go to 50 if we want to do 40 seconds. So Dr. Jon's is another maker that is vegan, but the performance is really pretty good. Kind of like Southern Witchcrafts, where the performance is good, even if you compare it to other tallow soaps. I don't think Dr. Jon's is quite as good as the new version of Southern Witchcrafts, but it's still, I still really like it quite a bit. Okay, so we're coming up on 50 seconds. I think let's go another 10 seconds. So we'll do a 50-second load, and we'll see if that. You can hear the sound change as you play around with your own soap loading. The sound can sometimes be a sign for you to quit. So we definitely have the bubbly stuff coming out first, and it does get a little bit richer, but that richer stuff was waiting. It didn't jump out at first. So that's why I went ahead and went for 50 seconds instead of just 40. Okay. And I just recently found out that the reason Dr. Jon's, unlike many soap makers, he's using these metal tins. Well, that's a little better for the environment, not to have the plastic out there, because these can be reused. And even if they do make it into the landfill, if they're exposed to air, they will still rust. and eventually go away. They do dent in travel if you put pressure on them, so they may not travel quite as well as Sterling's or some of the other plastic tubs. There's kind of a little face wash here. Refined Edge is here. Welcome. Dude, I believe it was yesterday I used the soap you sent me. First Line Shave, that Delmar Boulevard. With hard pucks, I tend to leave a little bit more water on my brush as well. Yep, roger that. And let's see how it pays off. And of course, with hard soaps, you can change your load time if you have used it recently. If you use it consecutively, like Mitchell's Wool Fat really likes to be used consecutively. It's just so much easier to load, less time to load, and all that. It'll be a different animal. So it's feeling kind of dry in there. Let's add some water. Yep. Yep. You can time the swirls if you want. One of the reasons I do or count the swirls, one of the reasons I do the timing is it's just easier. You don't have to try to keep track of how many swirls. And that's funny because during austere August last year, I was using MDC, and it was such a concentrated soap that even counting for 3 seconds, that just wasn't very accurate. And so I had to start counting swirls instead of time. And it ended up to be like 11 swirls was just the right amount. It's really interesting. Yeah, man, that's just my schedule. Kind of the way it is. I'll try to get with some earlier shaves as well, because sometimes, see, already we got something looking pretty good. That way I might end up with some shaves late at night, but then I also might end up with some some shaves at like 8 or 9 o'clock Eastern time, and that way maybe a different set of people would be able to join in. So we've got the Dr. Jon's 13 is the scent, and he put something in there that debuted as a Valentine's Day scent, but he's got some masculine stuff in there, like some musk or some wood or something that balances it out really nicely. As I push the brush down into the lather, I'm feeling the cushion, the resistance, the viscosity to it. And so I think this base may be one that I need to run a little drier, but I've also heard Dr. Jon say quite a few times, and people talk about Dr. Jon's as a thirsty soap. And so don't be hesitant about the water. It's a harder soap, and so that's one of the reasons why you might need to add more water than usual, like versus a summer break or something a little softer. Oh, okay, Mike. Mike shaves at different times. Yeah, see, look, we've increased in volume, but it hasn't really decreased in the too much in the way it looks. Oh yeah, that's very fluid. I think we better stop. I think this is a base where I should probably stop. Let's just mix it for just a minute. Yeah, Mike, watch all of my other videos. I've got like 1,200 videos online now, and most of them are bowl lathering. But just watch my Now, when you watch my videos, I know that you're a fairly regular watcher. You you have a different perspective now. You might be listening for different tips since you might be bowl lathering. But I'll tell you some basics in a second here. This is a really slick soap. I was just rinsing that early lather off my face, and the slickness was just nuts. Okay. So while we load up, let's talk to Mike about bowl lathering. Well, go to sugardaddyshaves.com, and there is a page on that site that says bowl versus face lathering. And you can read up on some of the things that I consider to be pluses about bowl lathering. So there's a little bit of education there. But since you're an accomplished face latherer, I might say a hybrid action might be good to start. Load up your brush from your tub like you usually do. Maybe add a little bit of water to it and start it, because I know you've got that fine lather bowl. It's got kind of shorter sides, so you're probably not going to be able to build up a huge amount of lather without it overflowing. But think of it as developing an early lather for your face lathering and acting as a repository for some suds so that you can pick that up later on. And just kind of work it for a little while until it looks consistent and fun, and then start putting it on your face. And with the intention of adding water while it's on your face. And so that's kind of a hybrid use of a bowl. But to switch gears and go full on bowl lathering and see, look, this actually needs some more water. To go full on bowl lathering, you can do it a couple different ways. You can start out with not very much water in your brush when you load it into your soap, when you load the soap into it. And then that way, when you start in the bowl, then you're pretty quickly going to have that lather get to a dry point. Or you could start with more water in your brush, and then that kind of might jumpstart you a little bit. So either way, as you know, I start with not very much water in my brush. I'm going to put a little water in my brush right now. And then just work it. Maybe give it more time at first, give it several minutes as you continually add water. Often you'll see me add water in increments of about a teaspoon at a time at first. And then as you, usually 3 or 4 teaspoons is usually kind of the landing spot. One of the things you can do with my shaves is you can pick, I know that you've got some of the common soap bases that I do. So you can pick a soap base and then do a search for a soap on my channel about that. And then inside the description, I will list how long I loaded for, how much water I used, that sort of thing. And so that could give you just a general ballpark, that kind of thing. But just, add water until it looks right. And if you have time to play, I would add water and keep adding water until the lather just turns into something that's not really giving you too much slickness, until it's kind of broken a little bit, where your razor kind of skips across your face. To me, that's when I stop. I know I've gone too far. Now, let's address your question specifically. Big bubbles turn into little bubbles, turn into no bubbles. You know what? On my channel, you've heard me say micro bubbles quite a bit. And I believe that some people believe that no bubbles is what you should go for, but that's not what I think. I think some different soaps always produce some tiny, tiny little bubbles, and they can still give you a creamy, wonderful shave, even if they have tiny little micro bubbles. Now, sometimes the micro bubbles might be in a lesser soap. That might mean that you either need to mix longer or add more product or add more water. But in a good soap, that can still mean that you're in good shape. You're fine. And use that elasticity test. In many cases, it's very helpful to pull about half of the lather up out of your bowl on your brush, and then kind of jiggle your brush and watch how it falls. Like look at that wall right there, and then see it just crumbled. It was so liquidy that it just fell apart. Now, some soap bases, if you wait and get it wet enough to where it does that, then that's too wet. Some soap bases like Sterling and some others, you get it to this point and it's perfect. So there is a little bit of variation depending on the soap base. And so if you do bowl lather for a while and you get really inconsistent results, I'd pick a soap base and stick with that until you nail it. Keep all the variables as fixed as you can. Eliminate as many variables. And I've been talking now on purpose because I want to let the lather soak into my face and be able to protect. Looking pretty good. All right. This is a artful piece. Let's see if it's a functional piece with this old blade. Not very tuggy. A general pleasant shaving sensation. I think I see the hair coming off, so I think we are removing some hair. Oh, here's another tip. If the lather builds up in your head, the head of your razor, and is not cleaned out by just gravity falling water, not a jet of water, but gravity falling water, then I'd keep on adding more water. Getting some pretty good slickness here. And the trouble with a bowl is, if you like a certain kind of hydration, then if you've overloaded your amount of soap, if you've loaded 3 times more than you really needed to, then that means you need to add 3 times as much water as the perfect setup. And some people might be hesitant to do that because maybe that'll cause their bowl to overflow. Well, if that's the case, let it overflow because you don't need that much lather anyway. So it's better to get it hydrated properly, in my opinion. And then you can learn to back off on the loading just a bit or something like that. But there are a lot of variables. That felt like a pretty good run there, pretty good pass. Oh, another way to eliminate variables is to, Mike, take your bowl and get a 1/4 teaspoon measure and scoop out and press that into the bottom of the bowl like you've seen me do so many times. And that eliminates the variable of the load time. And so it helps you develop your lather better. And then once you get your lather to a really good place, then you can start going back and lathering it from the tub if you want. And so going and using a certain measured amount of soap is a nice way in case you're having a little bit of trouble fighting with the lather. Just eliminates a variable. And as usual, this B5 hair is just terrifically soft. It's got medium backbone. It's just kind of that almost perfect zone. And this one is more relaxed than most B5s. When I came into the shaving game, B5 was the current batch, and I ordered one from Scott. It arrived, and I was so disappointed because it was so tight. It was so short that it was a little short out of spec. And so he did receive it back. Man, talk about customer service. He's amazing. But even when he sent me a re-knotted one, it was still too short for me. And so I ended up selling the brush. But I kept a lookout. And when I saw this particular brush I'm using today, I saw that it was lofted a little higher than standard. I'm glad I snatched it up. So eliminate variables while using the bowl. No bubbles, yeah. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Maybe he is using a soap that doesn't really produce bubbles. A lot of these low structure lathers, like what I used the other day, the first line shaving. What else uses low structure? Maybe Barrister and Mann Reserve, Milk Steak, perhaps. Some of the newer ones. Those are usually not going to have any bubbles because that's just not their nature. But that guy just doesn't have a very good wealth of experience to know. He's probably just shaving with a few soaps. Because you know what I've done? I have taken a soap, worked it up in my normal bowl and gotten some bubbles. And I said, let's try to get rid of these bubbles. And so I switched to a bowl that was totally smooth. It didn't have anything, any waviness, any texture, anything. And it gave me the same exact lather, same bubbles, same micro bubbles. Yeah, this lather is pretty much perfect. I'm really happy with this one. Very well hydrated. Very slick. And Mike, you may find that, following my advice, it will kind of head you toward the kind of hydration that I prefer, but you may find that you like a drier lather. Nothing wrong with that. You can let drier lathers sit on your face, and they can still absorb and protect you. I find them a little scrapey sometimes, and I get a little more irritation. All right, so that's the second pass, and rinse. I am feeling the stubble reduce as we go. Hey, yeah, Gillette spoiler. Guess what? I won an eBay auction that included a pack of brand new spoilers. Hey, Alan, welcome. So it's funny that, Mike, you should mention spoilers, because I'll be trying. I've never tried one of them before, and I'll be trying one in the months to come. So this is the third pass. I could definitely tell a difference in my stubble versus this after the first pass versus after the second. So let's do another cross grain now. Oh yeah, see, it's just gliding easy and smooth. Man, this is a really nice performing lather here. Very, very nice. And this is good. I mean, to me, this is a great lather, even if you consider tallow soaps or vegan soaps. The slickness here. Now, obviously, if you want some of those conditioning properties. Then you're looking at more things than just slickness. But okay, so we're going to take this. Oh yeah, refined edge, man. I know you're sleepy. I'm glad to give you the tips. As always, let me know how things go on the comments on the channel with your bold journey. And take care. Have a good night, man. I sure feel like I'm getting a nice close shave. My skin feels good. Yeah, my skin is just getting, that stubble is just reducing and reducing. It feels better and better with each one. Hey, Linus, welcome. Okay, the spoilers, yeah. Have a few tucks of them. Have mixed results, okay, with the spoilers. Some razors were good, some struggled, yeah. Okay. And I'm really happy with the closeness here. I'm enjoying the lather. So why don't we do a fourth pass here. And then I'll do the against the grain in my trouble spot. The scent is pretty mild. It started out more potent, but I have had this for a couple of years now. I think I need to start selling off some of my collection just so that people can enjoy the scents. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with a whole bunch of unscented soaps if I wait too long, right? Let people enjoy them before they lose it. Wolfman, they are really nice razors, of course, but I do try to vary what I use on my channel because I like to have guys find something that they enjoy. And so I like that guys come and sometimes they might see a fat boy or a slim. Sometimes they might see a tech, sometimes a Wolfman, sometimes a timeless, sometimes something real cheap. Oh no, that's fairly comfortable. That's not bad. I bet that's going to give me a good close shave here. So I loaded for 50 seconds and I've got another 3 passes in there. I didn't have to go for 50. All you night owls staying up with me. It's almost midnight. How about that? Oh, frankly, my pair. Yeah, you know what? I bet I would like that. I've got a couple of other pear soaps that I enjoy. And of course, I always enjoy, I usually enjoy what Will puts together. And so I imagine what he did with the pear would be really enjoyable, but I've just got so many scents from him. That's not one of the ones that I pulled the trigger on. But Alan, I'm glad you're enjoying that one. I'm sure it would be good. Okay, full rinse now. All right. Face feels great. The no irritation. I did have just a little bit of against the grain weirdness, but it wasn't really all that much. I could do that daily. So it sounds like maybe the old type that came in my khaki set and this Wolfman might be my two most comfortable razors because of their ability to be enjoyable during the shave, but also to handle that against the grain pass right here more comfortably than other razors. Oh yeah, Ariana Evans, yeah. Zachary James, hello, sir. Yeah, the replay will be available for you, that's for sure. Now, so today, just to recap for those joining later on in the show, today was about in the Lather games. We're in day 3, and it's about the beauty, the art that is in our hobby. What artwork do we really want to kind of pay honor to? And I showed you guys some examples of like Barrister and Mann and the Full Measure of Man, that sort of thing. But I chose Dr. Jon's 13, and I like his artwork quite a bit. He's got some neat work that's kind of vector illustrations with a little bit of realism in there and some vector art. And so that's why I picked his work today. And then I think that my WR2 is just one of the prettiest razors that I own. And so that's why I chose it for today. And then this handle. Of course, I like this B5 knot here, but the handle is just phenomenal here. They have that white layer between the blue and purple levels as they made this razor, and then as they turned it, and it just is just spectacular. It's a beautiful piece. And so that is why I chose that for the theme today. And then today's splash is from Sterling D503. It is supposed to be a dupe of Mont Blanc Legend. So let's see how my face feels with the alcohol splash. And I do have a Cologne Mont Blanc, the Individuel. Not very much stinging, so we've got a nice, comfortable shave without very much irritation. Very, very good. And I bet the Individual should match together reasonably well with the Legend. So let's put that, though, on my wrists instead of on my face. So there's I'm using a frag. Usually you don't see me use those in a shave because I usually go to bed, and so it's kind of a waste. But, oh yeah, got some neat smells going on today. Mike just recently got A&E's The Undersea. Okay. Oh, After the Rain. That's right. You got some aquatics in. Yeah. The aquatics sure is the aquatics is usually a very, very wearable scent genre that matches with a lot of people. I like the Acquadigio by Armani, and it's an aquatic, I think. Sterling has Dunshire that is supposed to be its dupe of that, but I think it's a little too weak for me to do that. After the Rain's really nice. Mike says, if I'm not shaving, I'm just going to play around with different soap bases to get a better feel for it. Yeah, man, that's a good way to do it. Test lathers, and if you have some bore brushes that need to be breaking in, that's another reason to play around with your. And always remember, now that you're bowl lathering some, if you have a young bore brush under 20 uses or something, it could be the brush's fault if your lather doesn't come together in the bowl, because bore brushes can do that when they're young. Okay, so I would advise you in your bowl lathering days, use a mature bore brush or stick with badgers or synthetics for a while until you get a good lather game going with your bowl. All right, guys, very good. It is late. I've still got some work to do, so I think I'm going to cut her off very soon here. Go ahead and put any questions you might have, and I'm gonna kind of clean up gear and pack up. Oh, I did end up using quite a bit of water. That was a thirsty soap. Wow, 37 milliliters of water used. I have not used that much water in any soap in the last couple of months. I did not need to load for quite that long. As always, with dense brushes, take a look. You see this little white spot in there? That's a little bit of soap. So make sure you rinse it to where even the little white spot in the middle is gone. Okay, so the WR2 is a great piece to use with this blade. Very nice. All right, guys. Well, it sure has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in on day 3. Looking forward to tomorrow. I think tomorrow is my opinion day, where you pick something that has been reviewed by somebody online and you maybe disagree with them in some way. And so a lot of opinions tomorrow. So there we go. All right. Hey, take care. Thank you so much. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and we'll see you next time.